explaining how frustrating it is to work with him. She calls him an egomaniacal windbag that whips people who can't fight back and points out half the staff feels the same way, they just haven't walked out yet because they care about the kids. Joan, however, has had enough of his lack of respect and support for the teachers, so she wants out. The next day before assembly, Joe gives Joan her transfer papers. Then he gives the kids a speech about the bad fame the school has in town, inspiring them to prove they're not savages. He also shows his gratitude towards the teachers, which he gives Joan credit for. Next, Power sings Lean on Me and the kids sing along, excited to show the government they aren't inferior. Seeing the whole school come together, Joan decides to stay. On the day of the test, the students fill the exam with confidence. But there's also a school board meeting coming and Liana can't wait anymore, so Botman finally gives the fire chief permission to get a court order. Meanwhile at school, Kanisha discovers she's pregnant, but her boyfriend doesn't believe he's the father even if she swears he's the only boy she's been with. Joe offers his support and promises they'll find some other alternatives, but their conversation is interrupted by a guard announcing the arrival of the fire chief with Liana and reporters. Calling code 10, Joe tries to get the chains removed, but the chief is ready and has a recording of this code, so Joe gets arrested for violating the fire code, leaving Joan in charge. That night, the school board holds a meeting. Frank tries to defend Joe's work, but Liana points out the school only got 33% during the practice test, meaning Joe actually failed at his work. The meeting is suddenly interrupted when every single student shows up demanding Joe be released. Botman knows it'll look bad if they fire a man with such support, so he talks to Joe, asking him to tell the students to leave. When Joe refuses, Botman pulls out the big guns and explains the cops are getting ready outside. If the students riot, things may get violent. Joe accepts to talk to them, but only for the sake of their safety, not because he thinks they're doing anything wrong. When he comes out, Liana is talking to the kids, but she's only getting insulted and reminded of all the things Joe did for the school. He's touched when he hears them call him a father, but he's still worried about the police, so Joe takes over and reminds them to respect the law. His